Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to go for a drive at Hatcher's Pass, Alaska. We are riding a 2025 Model Y with Michelin X-Ice tires. The condition is going to be icy, narrow roads, and steep roads. So please join me on a ride.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining me on a ride today. This is a ride I've been planning for a while. It's just we haven't had good weather, and I just decided to just go ahead and go for it. And it's still a pretty drive. Obviously, it's much better on a sunny day, but it's still pretty. We're just coming up through um, the trees here, coming through the canyon where the river is. And this is a beautiful river. It's a glacier-fed river, so it has colloidal bodies in the water, so it kind of makes it has a little extra color in it. It's a lot of Alaska water has this properties, and yeah, it's really pretty. Um, Summertime, this is awesome drive. There are some people that live up there. I was kind of surprised that there's like right there's a gate in the house and stuff. But overall, it's mostly park. There's a ski resort up there later, we'll see. It's a little windy road. Road's in pretty good condition. There's a lot of tourists come up here for the summertime. There's a mine up there a lot of people go to. And it's a popular spot for berry picking. And their berries it's not regular blueberries, it's maybe high bush blueberries. There's a couple different names for them, but to me, they're not as good. They don't have as much flavor. They're big, but there's a lot more pectin in them. So here we're going through the canyon, starting to get a little nicer. So we're riding Model Y 2025, and the road's pretty smooth, so um, can't really tell, but it's a nice handling car. And FSD did really good on this trip. I didn't have to intervene at all. It just drove itself. All the cameras stayed clean. It could see everything really good. And I do have another video on the actual camera on the inside of the car so you can see that it was on FSD. But so this version of full self-driving is 13.2.7, which has been overall pretty good. All the versions of FSD have had issues getting to the Chugach charger at Three Bears in Peters Creek. And this one's no exception. It still has issues occasionally. Sometimes it works fine. The terrain does get a little steep, and so there is avalanche warnings. And this year has been like our worst year on record for snowfall. We haven't had much snowfall at all. It's been really warm, a lot of rain. It's be a terrible year to come up here for vacation. But we do get a fair amount of Japanese tourists coming up to see the Northern Lights. And this year I've seen the best Northern Lights of my life this year here in the city, which is crazy. Normally in the city, there's so much light pollution that you can't see the Northern Lights very well. But these Northern Lights were so bright, it was just amazing. And that was on New Year's Eve. So it was quite the show. We got Northern Lights, fireworks, and it was good. So a lot of the trees here are cottonwood. Normally, in areas that are a lot of fairly wet, they're going to have a lot of cottonwoods. Some of the evergreens that you would see here are spruce trees, white spruce or black spruce. And it's hard to see, it's hard to identify the trees driving and then also in the wintertime, but it looks like there's some over on the left side. Those are alders. like a nitrogen fixing plant. And yeah, some of those big ugly trees are like I might have been in cottonwood. But yeah, we don't have too many really cool trees. Our falls are nice. Okay, this right here is the road to the ski resort. It's just a really small ski resort. They just started up a few years ago. I have not been up there yet. I've heard it's decent and similar to Hilltop. Looks like it has a little more elevation than Hilltop, but I think it's probably similar in that it's not like a fancy resort. It's just pretty laid back. Just the bare minimums kind of thing. So now not quite out of tree line, but as you can see, there's a lot more brush coming up here because obviously the ground is covered in snow more over the year, so the trees don't have as much time to grow. Just starting to get into a little rougher terrain, a little bit of ice. But overall, the road was pretty good. You can also start to see the mountains here. Normally, they would be completely covered in snow. As you can see, you can see some dark stuff, and I think that's more wind blown mountains. So this rec area is a really popular recreation. A lot of hikers, backpackers, mountain climbers in the summertime. In the wintertime, there's some extreme skiers. People hike up to the top of these mountains and snowboard and ski down. So it's pretty cool to see. On a good year, it's awesome to see a lot of people out here enjoying the area. There's also the summertime it's hard to see here, but on the other side of the park, you can take four-wheelers and side by sides, motorcycles, mountain bikes. And then in the wintertime, you can also take snow machines or any other kind of motorized snow vehicles on the other side of the park. But on this side of the park, it's all foot traffic. I've seen somebody with a mountain bike on the trails over here, but it's not recommended. You can't go very far anyway. So right around here is where the road kind of zigzags up the mountain. So people go up to the higher road, drop people off the bike down or ski down or snowboard down, and then they can pick them up here at the other side of the road. These runs I think the longest run's a mile. And the other one's about 0.6 miles. And yeah, there's also some um, s- spots alongside the road where you can park and just walk down to the river or just hang out. And we're not quite there yet, but as you can see, there's some big mountains up there. In the first valley, there's a hiking trail that's around 8 miles up, and it goes to Mint Hut towards the end of the valley. And I mean, all this area is really pretty, so it's just a matter of how long of a hike you want to go on. Probably the best hike here is going up the Reed Lakes, which is about 8, maybe 9 miles round trip. And it's most of it's pretty easy, but there are some big boulders that you have to jump across and maybe a little bit of water you have to go across. But and it does get a little steep. So yeah, just look it up on All Trails to see if it's right for you. But it's probably one of the most beautiful trails in the park. And you can go further too. You go all the way to the back, and then you can climb up over the edge, and you can go walk on a glacier. You can go on the glacier if you have some kind of ice cleats so you don't slide off the glacier. But there's a wrecked airplane on the glacier, so that's pretty neat to go check out. So yeah, I definitely recommend that if you get up here in this area. It's yeah, it's amazing. And you can camp up there too. It's probably a common thing to do is hike back, 4 miles, camp, and then go to the glacier and stay another night and then camp out or head out the next day. And then if you're really adventurous, there's mountains as big as you want to go climb on, and some of them are just crazy steep, very hard to get up. And I think it was Lynx Peak is one of them that is, yeah, very difficult, but rewarding if you can get up there without getting hurt. The glacier is called Bomber Glacier, and because a bomber crashed on it. But yeah, there's a bunch of other trails up there. At the end of the road where you would go to Reed Lakes, there's a kind of like a four-bind trail that goes up there, and just a couple-mile hike to Lane Hut. That one's also a pretty hike. And obviously, you can go. So here's the turnoff right here to Mint Hut. There's a large parking lot there. And back in the day, there used to be a lodge right there on that hairpin corner, the Mother Lode Lodge. Unfortunately, it burnt down a long time ago. So now we're just heading up the hill. It's getting a little steeper here, and somewhere around here, there's the turnoff on the right, and that goes to the parking lot for Reed Glacier and Lane Hut. Just a little background on the area. Independence Mine is the reason for these roads. They discovered gold up here in 1906, and they continued to mine it up until the war, and then finally kind of shut down at 1950 or so. And so, yeah, these buildings are really old. A lot of them are, they fell down. The park has restored some of them, so it's pretty cool that you can see what they used to look like. Also, you can see the cables that went all the way up to the holes in the mountains that they, would mine the gold out of, and then they would tram the tailings down to the mine to actually crush it and chemically remove the gold. So I really enjoy this historic part of Alaska. We have mines all over the place. And yeah, you can hike up to some of those mining chambers. I think there might be some that you can get into a little bit, but a lot of them are blocked off so that you can't go in there. And as you'll see in a little bit, there are some cabins that you can rent up at the top of the pass. And then also at the Golden Mint Trailhead, there's a campground down there. And then alongside the river, further back in the road, there's another campground, I think Government Peak Campground. And then for the adventurous type, you can just go hiking anywhere out here and camp out in the woods if you can find a place that's flat and with smooth ground. So here's kind of where they start to where they park and then they go down the hill, either on bike or skis or snowboard. As you can see here, there's going to be a lot of snow. Typical years, it could be, 4 feet, 8 feet of snow out there, where you wouldn't even see any of that brush. But like I said, this year has been a terrible year. And so, yeah, the road is getting a little more icy here, but not bad. I've seen years where it's just glare ice, and yeah, it's pretty scary. Also, I think some years they have like a groomed trail alongside the road for the snowmobilers, and I'm not sure if it's to go to the other parking lot or what, but there are some groomed trails. And then at the very top by Independence Mine, there are groomed ski trails, which are awesome. I mean, it's beautiful up there, and yeah, there's just a few miles of trails, but the scenery you can't beat. And then, like I said earlier, there's people doing backcountry skiing, backcountry snowboarding, hiking to the top of these mountains. It's pretty amazing. So coming down this mountain, FSD, full self-driving for my vehicle, it was in hurry mode, and so it was like rushing down the hill, going speed limit. and or maybe a little bit more than speed limit, and it was scary. I had to put it back down on chill mode, which is the slowest mode and more appropriate for icy conditions. But it did good. I just didn't like how fast it was going down the hill. And overall, I've been pretty happy with the Model Y. Um, the tires, also Michelin X-Ice tires, those things have been amazing in the wintertime. So here's one of those pull-offs right here. So it's a pretty large pull-off. So as in any mountain recreation area, we've lost people in avalanches up here. And it's just part of the territory, really, when people are recreating out in areas like this. And when we have winters that are hot and cold, there's always going to be those chances of creating layers that will break free and cause an avalanche. And unfortunately, it's all about, getting the education out there so people know when it's safe to go. But the hardest thing is in the wintertime, you want to get out and enjoy the area. And sometimes you just don't really think about, or you don't test the snow to see if it's avalanche prone. And so, yeah, we've lost some people out in avalanches, skiers, snow machiners. Um, Here's another big parking lot. This is where all the snowmobilers park. And so the snowmobilers right here, they have to stay on like a groomed trail until they get to the end of the road. And then on the other side of the road, at the top of the mountain, then they can go off the trail. And so there's a half the parks for snow machines, the other half is for skiers. And I believe in the summertime it's probably the same way with four wheelers and non-motorized vehicles, which is kind of nice. Obviously, the more scenic and the more historical buildings are on this side. And, this area is super beautiful in the fall because we have all the fall colors, the tundra and the different brush in the tundra are, reds, yellows, and purples. And it's just, yeah, it's just really beautiful. Any time of the year, really, I think it's beautiful up here. But yeah, a lot of rocks, rugged mountains, mountain streams, and mountain lakes and ponds to take your cold plunge in, which is you see a fair amount of people doing it up here. And here's the final parking lot. Um, well, maybe not the final one, but one close to the final. There's another hairpin in the summertime. They don't plow it in the wintertime, but there's a hairpin turn there that goes up all the way to the top of the mountain. It's pretty steep. Hey, thanks for sticking around this far in the video. Please like and subscribe and comment on anything. If what I can do better, or what kind of locations you would like to see. Also, if you're in a market for a new Tesla, use my referral code for $500 to $2,500 off a new vehicle. I've had mine for 3 months and I love it completely. Yep, this is the final parking lot. So we got a huge parking lot because we get a lot of people here. And there's restroom. There's an avalanche beacon check station there. And yeah, this is the end of the road. Thanks for taking this trip with me. And I hope to see you on my next trip. Enjoy.